Yeah. Okay, we start the class.
Hari Om, Uncle.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. I think there is no time for bhajan because I had a problem with my network. So it's already 8 o'clock, so we start the class. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam, Kamsa Chanura Mardanam, Devaki Paramanandam, Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum, Samasta Jana Kalyane, Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Is the picture okay?
Yes, uncle.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll manage it anyway. Can't help it because there's some problem with that, this thing. So we'll manage it. Before I start the class, I want to give all of you an extremely good news for all of you. The good news is, up to now, for several years, I have stopped with 15th chapter for several years because that there ends the subject matter. 16, 17, 18 are not directly connected with the continuity of the topic. So instead of completing 18 chapters and giving a lot of confusing data, I said, you study well up to 15th chapter, and when you master it, 16, 17, 18, even on your own, you read, you will understand. Otherwise, someday I will take, I said it. But now, I am starting 16, 17, 18 on the 5th of April, continuation to this, completing in April. April itself, I'll complete. Same 2 classes. But because others are also coming, I think the link will be different. And I think Harsha may host the class. So, but all of you are also welcome to attend that. You will be the first group who will have 18 chapters continuously after a long time, after decades. Yeah.
Thank you, Uncle.
Hari Om, Hari Om. So now the 15th chapter is the most interesting chapter in many, many, many ways, not more than one way. It is one of the two shortest. 12th chapter also had 20 slokas. 15th chapter also has 20 slokas. But in these 20 slokas, He gives complete details of the entire Vedanta. Up to now, we have dealt with the individual, the ego, and the God supporting the entire universe, running through the entire universe. One is called Apara Brahman, the other is called Para Brahman in the 7th chapter. We did not talk about any other dimension of God. But there is one more dimension of God. That is done in this chapter. Also, this chapter completely helps us to recognize that there is nothing that we are doing in our life, including eating. It is He that does everything. When you know those details, you develop total surrender unto Him. That is the purpose of all learning. The purpose of all learning is to surrender this ego. This chapter helps in that also. This is called Purushottama Yoga because we saw earlier Kshara Purusha, Akshara Purusha, or Apara and Para Prakritis. Kshara Purusha, Akshara Purusha. Here he talks about the absolute God, beyond both. Beyond both. Since he is beyond both, they are also called Purusha because they are Purusha. Purusha is the same. According to his associations, he is called a Kshara Purusha. When he is associated with finite names and forms, including your body, mind, intellect, and the external world, is called Kshara Purusha, seen through the finite world. When he himself becomes a support and a witness, he is called Akshara Purusha. And Kshara Purusha also, he is continuously engaged in activity. Akshara Purusha also, he is there along with several things. Does he not have total freedom, independency from everything? Yes. That is his ultimate dimension, the absolute dimension. Therefore, that's called Purushottama. Kshara Purusha, Akshara Purusha, Purushottama. Purusha means that which dwells in a Puri. Puri means city. This is a 9-gated city. So one who lives in this is called Purusha. As an ego, he is called Kshetrajna or Kshara Purusha. As the one who is a witness, he is called Kutastha. And beyond both, one who is absolute is called Purushottama. That is the subject matter of this chapter. He starts with an analogy of an inverted tree. The whole world is compared to an inverted tree. As I do the verses, I will explain. Sri Bhagavan Urdhvamulam adhashakam ashwatham prahuravyayam Chandansi yasya parnani yastam veda sa vedavit adachodvam prasrutastasya shakha guna pravruddha vishaya pravala adascha moolan anusantatani karmanubandhini manushya loke. He is talking about the tree of samsara. He says, urdhva moolam, the roots are above. Adashaka, branches are below. Branches are below. You may feel it's a funny representation. Roots above, branches below. What is he talking? He's talking about the samsara, the world. Right? So that means he is now painting the world before us. It has to start from the top. When you put your family tree, how do you do? When you put your family tree, you put the earliest person you know on the top, then one by one down. Is it not? Same way here. Same way here. Top is the source. Down below, it comes down. So therefore, Bhagavan says, Urdhva moolam, the roots above, Ashwatham, banyan tree or people tree. But why that is chosen? The very name suggests this. Ashwatham, that which does not remain the same tomorrow. Prahuhu avyayam, but it is called imperishable. Mark these so-called contradictions. It's said, Ashwatham, that which doesn't remain the same tomorrow, but it is avyayam, indestructible, imperishable. How is that? Supposing I ask you, how many times you have seen Ganges? Some of you may say, I have seen 4 or 5 times. But even while you are standing there for 10 minutes, even once you have visited, you have never seen the same Ganges. As you are seeing, the Ganges is flowing. The Ganges is not the same that you are seeing. It's flowing. But Ganges is been there from time immemorial. Ikshvaku Vamsha. So, the Ganges that you are seeing is continuously living, but the Ganges form, name, a relative appearance has been there from time immemorial. Similarly, this world is changing continuously because you yourself, I myself, every minute we are changing. Physically we are changing, mentally we are changing, intellectually we are changing, every second. All of us are changing. And then the entire world is also changing in several aspects. In its climate, in its populations, right? Thus, the world never remains the same even for a split second. As we are talking, in this world, every minute a few thousand are dying, a few thousand are being born. Therefore, the world is never the same at any time. But the world is the same, continuing. The world that Rama lived, the world that Krishna lived, the world that we are living, the world our grandfathers lived, all that world is the same. Therefore, the world has two aspects. In fact, three aspects. That's what we are going to see. One, a transactional aspect, which is continuously changing. Another, a relative reality. A relative reality. Another, absolute reality. It's not exactly the same, but in Sanskrit, we have three realities. But I will not say this Chara, Akshara, and Purushottama are exactly the same. They are closely the same, approximately the same. But you should know these three Purushas. One is called the three realities. One is called Vyavaharika Satta, transactional reality. Another is called absolute reality, Paramarthika Satta. Vyavaharika Satta, Paramarthika Satta. Another is Pratibhasika Satta, the reflective reality. The reflective reality. You, I are different. Transactional reality, we both are different. In absolute reality, we both are manifestation of one Brahman. One Brahman. Right? So there is a relative reality between us. Vyavaharika Satta, relative reality, also is there. This relative reality itself is called Vyavaharika. Though there are two dimensions in that. One is you are different, I am different. Two, we both are connected to that Brahman. Together it's called Vyavaharika reality. Pratibhasika Satta, Vyavaharika Satta, Pratibhasika Satta, reflective reality. Reflective reality. That is like the dream world. Like the dream world. In the dream, it is the waker's consciousness that reflects in the thoughts of the sleeping man. There, he assumes an individuality, and that individuality and that reality is called Pratibhasika Satta, relative reality. That's also relative, Pratibhasika Satta. Vyavaharika Satta, Pratibhasika Satta. Vyavaharika Satta, you and I are different. Pratibhasika Satta, like the dream world, where you reflect in the thought pool. You reflect in the thought pool. Then Paramarthika Satta, where you, I, are neither connected to the body to have Vyavaharika Satta, nor connected to the mind to have Pratibhasika Satta. We, you and I, are beyond both as Parabrahman, Supreme Brahmans, Satchidananda. That is called Paramarthika Satta, absolute reality. Vyavaharika Satta, Pratibhasika Satta, Paramarthika Satta. Relative reality, reflective reality, absolute reality. Relative reality, Vyavaharika Satta. reflective reality, pratibhasika satta, absolute reality, paramarthika satta. So therefore, the world has three realities. This text will talk. And now here, this world is continuously changing, yet it maintains a semblance of an identity like the river Ganges flowing. And therefore, this world doesn't stay the same tomorrow, yet it continues. The world continues. It's indestructible. And now, Chandansi yasya parnani. Its leaves are Vedas. Why Vedas are its leaves? All of us are able to live by gaining, by growing, eating food minimum, by gaining several comforts. All these are based on knowledge. Without knowledge, you cannot create food, you cannot create your conveniences. So the world survives through knowledge. The world survives through knowledge. Knowledge, the books of knowledge are called Vedas. They are compared to the leaves. Why? It's the leaves that suck the manure and water put down on the roots from the top. I think it's called capillary action or something like that. The leaves suck the manure and water from bottom. In the process of this manure and water lifted up to the leaves, the entire tree grows. The entire tree grows. Therefore, Vedas, which is responsible for this sustenance. Yes, the tree of samsara, Vedas. Once who knows this tree of samsara, he understands the Vedas. And now, adhaschodvam prasutastasya shakha guna pravruddha vishaya pravala adhascha moolan anusantatani karmanubandhini manushya-loke adhascha urdhvam prasutastasya shakha. Above and below. Adhaha urdhvam. Adhaha down. Urdhvam up. Prasrutaha spread. Asya shakaha, the branches of this tree. Guna pravruddha, nourished by the gunas. Pravruddha, buds. Pravruddha are the buds. So guna pravruddha, guna pravruddha, nurtured by the gunas. Vishaya pravala, pravala are the buds. Pravala are the buds. Sense objects are the buds. Vishaya pravalaha, sense objects are the buds. Adascha moolan anusantatani. This world of men are this world of men, they are all tied down through action. They are all tied down through action to the roots. Adascha moolan anusantatani. This tree of samsara, is tied down to the roots. Why? The world moves, grows through action. Therefore, this world is tied down to activity. This world is tied down to the activity. And that it binds us. Similarly, this tree is strongly bound to the roots in the form of actions in the world of men. Right? I'm waiting for you to grasp because the topic is little subtle. I will again read. Urdhva moolam adas shakaha. Roots are above, branches below. Ashwatthamanum. Ashwattham prahuravyam. This is called Ashwattha, imperishable. Chandansi yasya parnani, its leaves are Vedas. Yastam Veda sa Vedavid. One who knows this tree knows the Vedas. And this tree, there are some branches going up, some down. Means what? Some are evolving, some are going down. Branches are going up, some are going down. Some are evolving, some are going down. This world is strongly nourished by the gunas, qualities. Sattva, Raja, Tamo guna. Good, bad, indifferent. Our likes and dislikes. Because of this, this world is nourished. Vishaya pravalaha. Sense objects are the buds. Why? A bird, B-U-D, bird. A bird manifests the flower or then fruit. But manifests the flower and the fruit. Sense objects are the birds because they create the desire and action. They create the desire and the action, and thus the world manifests through action, continuous in action. All of us continuously are seeking new pastures through our desires. Desires of what? Sense objects. So it is these sense objects that makes us run about. These sense objects that makes us run about and makes us continuously produce. And the world grows like that. The world grows through desires, desires for sense objects. The world grows through desires, desires of the sense objects. Therefore, sense objects are called buds. Adascha moolan anusantatani karmanubandhini manushya loke. This tree is firmly rooted, tied down. Vasanas. Roots are the vasanas, which manifest the actions, and that sustains this tree. And that sustains this tree. The vasanas, the actions. They are all the same. The whole world is nothing but vasanas or prakriti. At different level, it's called differently. So it is tied down through action, through vasanas, down below. Na rupamasyeha tatopalabhyate Nanto na chadir na cha sampratistha ashwattamenam suvirudha moolam asanga sastrena dhudena chitva. Now, so much of graphic description is given about this samsara vriksha. So much of graphic description is given about this samsara vriksha. So many people can think there must be a tree like that. Imagine there may be a tree like that. Sri Krishna or Veda Vyasa hasten to tell us this is only an allegory, an analogy. It's not a real tree. Why did we give this analogy? Why did we give this allegory? Only to understand, like a tree can be cut. The name Vriksha in Sanskrit, that which can be cut is called Vriksha, Vrikshanath, that which can be cut. So for you to bring all the world into the form of the tree, bring all aspects of life, all aspects of the world into the tree, and through a clue, cut it off. Through a clue, he will give that. Through a clue, cut it off. Without bringing them into one tree, if you say detach from the world, you do not know how to detach. Therefore, they have to bring the whole thing in the form of the tree and teach you how to detach. That will come later. This is the same principle adopted in Ashwamedha Yaga or Purusha Suktam. Different aspects of the world are projected on the horse, and that horse is sacrificed. That means you sacrifice the entire world. You sacrifice the entire world. Here also, the tree has to be cut off. So to cut it off, you have to bring all the details of the world in that, then cut it off, so that this is the covering that is preventing you to express your divinity in full, the Brahman that you are. It has to be cut off because you are under the illusion that you are this individual enshrined in this body. Try to believe that you are the body, mind, intellect, and come to suffer. This is pure imagination. There is no reality about it. Like the dream. There is no reality about it, like the dream. And if the dream problems have to end, you have to detach from the dreamer. If all your imaginary problems of this manifest world has to end, you have to detach from this samsara vriksha. That's a pure imagination. Therefore, he has given the analogy of a samsara vriksha. So here he says, na rupam asya iha tatha upalabhyate. As I described, there is no physical tree. There is no form of this tree. Because this samsara vriksha na antaha, na adi. There is neither a beginning nor the end. Nacha sampratistha, nor is it well established. No end, not established. The world itself is like that. Can you arrive at the origin of the world? Can you arrive at the end of the world? Puranas describe, that's a different matter. That subject is different. Because even in the Puranas, when they describe, they are all there in Mula Prakriti in Bhagavan. Nothing new was created. This entire world of names and forms were there in the Moola Prakriti, which is the nature of Bhagavan. From that it emerges, into that it goes back. So therefore, there is neither a real origin or an end, nor is it having a firm foundation. This world is just a concept, it just belongs to the thoughts. Therefore, there is no real tree. And hence, this tree, yenam, this tree, suviruda moolam, along with its roots, cut it off. Along with its roots, cut it off. How? Ashanga sastrena drudena chitva, through the sword of detachment. Ashanga sastrena drudena chitva, through the sword of detachment. How do you cut off your dream world? You detach from it. Similarly, here, you are lending your existence, your consciousness to the world, and it seemed to be real. Withdraw that. Withdraw your existence and consciousness from the world. How do I do it? The world has its basis in your mind. Where there is no mind, there is no world. In sleep, there is no mind. You don't experience a world. Once the mind starts, the world starts. Therefore, the world is in the mind. Mind is the thoughts. World is in the mind. Mind is the thoughts. Detach from the thoughts. How do you detach from this? Start seeing them as an object. You have detached. Start seeing them as an object. You have detached. Are you able to get it? Because absolutely necessary topic we are discussing. And I am trying to tell as best as I can. And you must catch it as best as you can. So if you have a problem, tell me. This tree of samsara has to be cut off so that its bondage on you stops and you express the Brahman that you are. This tree has no real existence. It's only a projection of the mind. So detach from the mind. Mind is the thought flow. Detach from the thought flow. How do you detach from the thought flow? Observe the thoughts. Then the thoughts get separated. Observe the thoughts. Then the thoughts get separated. Drudena chitva asanga sastrena. Through the sword of detachment, cut off this tree. Why should you do that? So that you can discover that supreme dimension of yours. Having gone to that dimension, you will no more suffer this helpless, individualistic, egocentric person. So next verse says, Tatapadam tat parimargitavyam. Tatah, then padam, that goal, the ultimate goal that you have to reach, tat, that parimargitavyam, you should seek that goal beyond all conflicts, challenges, limitations, and sorrows and sufferings. Yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyaha. Having gone where, you don't return back. This is repeated here 2-3 times. Gurudev gives us a very beautiful explanation of this. Where going where you don't come back means, having gone to that state, you will never again come to think you are this individual. That is the meaning. It's not that whether you take birth or not. When it says, having gone there, you don't return. Having gone to that state of understanding, enlightenment, you will no more fall back to the belief that you are this helpless, individualistic ego. Tat parimargitavyam. Yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyaha. Having gone where, you will never return back. That padam, that goal, what is it? Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yata pravritti prasrita purani. That primordial purusha, that origin of this entire samsara vriksha, because it said urdhva moolam. It started roots above. So the roots above. What was that above? Something must be there. Roots come from the above. What is the above? Something must be there. Here he says that Adyam Purusham, that primordial being, that Purusha, that primordial Purusha, Prapadye, I seek refuge. Who is telling? Krishna. Why does Krishna have to tell that? When he has taken this body, he also, though he is God, becomes little less than that state. And therefore, even Krishna, now when he's talking about this topic, is lifted to that dimension and he sees the glory of that and says, I take refuge in that primordial Purusha. Yataha, from him, pravruttaha, pravruttaha, for the complete activity, because the world is activity. Prasruta Purani. Purani, ancient, Prasrutas sprang forth. They came back, this entire world of names and forms, in the form of activity, manifested from that primordial Purusha. To him we surrender. You and I also, we said, cut it off. How do you cut it off? Visualize the thoughts. How? Turn your attention to the source of the thoughts. What is the source of these thoughts? The consciousness, existence. What is that? Beginningless. The very root of all the thoughts, the very root of all the world. Turn your attention to the source of the thoughts, to the source of the world, to that consciousness, to that existence. And that is called surrendering your ego. Surrendering your ego. Like surrendering the dreamer, you become the waker. Surrender your ego to that consciousness. And further, this detachment is given in a beautiful verse. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivrutta kama dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sangai gacchantya muda padamavyayam tat. Nirmana moha, free from pride and delusion. Pride trying to, mana means nirmana. Mana means measurement. Measurement of what? I am a 6-footer. I am a fair man in complexion. I belong to this community. I belong to this country. I am this rich. I have this much power. These are all your measurements. That is called pride. Nirmana, free from pride, because whatever you have, even if you have 80% of the world, still it is finite. still it is finite. Therefore, this pride only limits you, the unlimited, the one who is beyond all limitations. This pride, you think you are big, but that very thought limits you. Nirmana, moha, delusion. What is delusion? Seeing one thing to be the other. Seeing yourself, the God, as the individual. Nirmana moha. How? Jita sanga dosha. Sanga, attachment. Dosha, evil. Jita sanga dosha. Through the victory over this evil of attachment. Evil of attachment. What is attachment? I am attached to this body first. I, the ego. That is there the attachment starts. Plus, I want it. Without that, I am not complete. Without that, I am not complete. So Gurudev gives a equation. What is attachment? I plus I want is an attachment. The feeling, I am this body, that is the first attachment to the body. Then, all this is mine. That's another attachment. I want that, I want this is another attachment. So all these attachments cover the divine that you are and limit. So you have to eliminate them. How? Adhyatma nitya. Continuously, constantly tuning yourself to that reality, to that thought of Godhood, to that consciousness, to that self, remembering that all the time. Adhyatma nitya, vinivritta kamaha, free from desires. Dvandvair vimuktaha, freed from the pairs of opposites. What are the dvandvas? Sukha dukkha sanyaihi. The dvandvas, the pairs of opposites, are sukha and dukkha, happiness and sorrow. Sanyaihi, named. They are called so. Gacchanti amudaha padam avyayam tat. Through this process of not having pride, delusion, cutting attachment, continuously turning his attention to that self, free from desires, going beyond the opposites, one gacchanti avyayam padam tat avyayam padam amudaha, free from delusion, tat, that, avyayam, imperishable, padam, goal, abode, gacchanti, reaches. So what are the conditions? Mana, moha. Mana, moha belong to the ego, the individual, association with the body. How can you, thinking that you are this limited body, can ever experience the God that you are? So the problem for you is to first identify with this body, therefore starts mana and moha. Instead, turn your attention to the very self which supports the body and desires. Nobody has a desire for what he has. You have desires for what you don't have. Why you have desires for what you don't have? Because you think you are the body. Ignorance of the self, avidya, makes you feel inadequate insufficient. Therefore, desires, kama. Therefore, karma, actions. Avidya, kama, karma. Ignorance, desires, action. This is called triple knot. 3 knots. In Sanskrit, Hrudaya Grandhihi, knots of the heart. This has to be cut off. Why did this come? Sense of duality. You are different from God, and therefore everything else is different from you. Why? Seeing in the body. And seeing in the body only, you have sukha and dukkha. If you are not seeing yourself in the body, you don't experience sukha and dukkha also. Sukha, dukkha, labha, alabha, mana, avamana, all belong to the body. Of course, the root is in the mind. It is the mind that creates differences. It is the mind that creates duality. And once you detach from the mind, you will experience the God, the self, the consciousness that you are. So this verse gives complete blueprint for eliminating all the negative factors that cover the supreme that you are. What is that supreme that you are? Next verse. Na tadbhasayate suryaha na shashanko na pavakaha yadgatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. In this, we are doing the 6th verse. In the 6th verse, this concept is repeated for the 3rd time. Having gone there, you don't return. Means what? You are miserable now. Having gone to that dimension of Godhood, you will never come to again feel that you are this body and suffer. That is why it is repeated 3rd time in 6 slokas. What is that state? Na tadbhasayate suryaha na shashanko na pavakaha. In that state, neither the sun shines, sun reveals, nor the moon, shashankaha, nor the fire. Fire cannot show it, nor the moon, nor the sun can reveal it. Why? How? Without the moon, without the light, your dream. You don't have the sun, you don't have the moon, you don't have the fire, but you are able to see. What is the light that shows the dream world? Because we only know things are revealed to us through the sun, through the moon, or the lights, various lights. Here it says, where that consciousness is there, sun doesn't shine, moon doesn't shine, nor the lights. In your dream, you are seeing the dream world. Is the sun revealing? Is the moon revealing? Is the fire revealing? Yet you see. Why? Your consciousness reveals that. What is the beauty here? Please make a note. Without the sun, without the moon, without the light, consciousness can reveal. But without the consciousness, sun, moon, life cannot reveal. Again, I repeat, without the sun, the moon, the light, consciousness reveals. Without the consciousness, the sun, the moon, the light cannot reveal. So therefore, this consciousness is supreme and superior to the sun, the moon, and the light. This is what we chant when we take arati. When we take arati, na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoya magnehi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Na tatra, there where you are, the consciousness, suryo bhati, the sun shines, na chandra tarakam, neither the moon nor the stars. Kutoya magni, where does this camphor that I am showing you will reveal? Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. All these things are seen because of that light. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Through in his light, everything else is seen. Right? This logic is called Anvaya Vyatireka. That is, when everything is there, he is there. When everything is not there also, he is there. When everything is there, he is there. When everything is not there also, he is there. This is called Anvaya Vyatireka Nyaya. And then now, for us to understand that there is nothing beyond him. He is the very world that we see. He is the very cosmic forces because of which we live. He is the very individual. He is the individual. He is the world. He is the cosmic forces. Once we understand that, we know the Advaita theory. When we know everything is that non-dual truth, all our sorrows, suffering, death ends. Therefore, the purpose is to understand everything is that Bhagavan. So here he starts with you, the individual, the jiva. How? What role he plays in us? Mamaivamsho jiva loke jiva bhutas sanatanaha manashasthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. A small portion of myself, mamaiva amshaha jiva loke, in this world of jivas, sanatanaha, the most ancient being that I am, an amsha of mine in the individual, manaha shashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. It, abiding in Prakriti, draws to itself the five senses and the sixth one, the mind. All our experiences, I see. Dead body cannot see. Eyes can see. First stage, mind should be associated. Mind also cannot be seeing without the life. Therefore, what I see is felt through the mind. Together, that perception is connected to the consciousness. So it is figuratively said that this consciousness attracts the senses and the mind, staying in Prakriti. Prakriti means the vasanas. The vasanas and all the manifestations of the vasanas in the form of body, mind, intellect, in all that Bhagavan stays. Bhagavan stays. That's why it's called Kutastha. Kuta is all this garbage is called Kuta. He stays in that poor God. Poor God stays in this garbage, kutastha, and attracts the senses and the mind together. All experiences take place in that consciousness as an individual. Then what role he plays? Shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkramati ishvaraha gruhit vaitani samyati vayurgandha nivashayat. When you gain this body, this individuality, he kept you along with him in a store. He kept you with him. And when you have to again manifest, after 5 months of the conception, he brings you, doesn't leave you there. Poor man, he also along with you enter the womb and stay there. So while you were born, he brings you. While you are going through the experiences, he is with you. And then while you leave this body, he takes you. Yachapi utkramat ishvaraha. When he leaves this body, also he takes you along with him. Gruhitva yetani. Yetani, what are the yetani? The senses and the mind and all your vasanas. Yetani samyati vayuhu gandha nivashayat. Like gandhan iva ashayat. Like this fragrance, this scents, the smells. Iva, like ashayat, from the respective seats. Like the air conveys the fragrance of different flowers. This God, from their seats, that is the power of vision in the physical eyes, physical ears, physical nose, they are all their seats. From those seats, he collects these subtle aspects, subtle body. It's called subtle body. All these various faculties along with the mind, and leaves like the air takes the sense from their own respective positions. That is, he brings you, he takes you. In between, what does he do? He brings you, he takes you. In between, what does he do? Srotram chakshuspashanam cha rasanam ghranam evacha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate. Adhisthaya, presiding over, manaha, the mind, vishayan, sense objects, upasevate, enjoys. Adhisthaya, presiding over, ayam manaha, this mind, vishayan, sense objects, upasevate, enjoys. Presiding what? Srotram, the ear, chakshuhu, the eye, sparshanam, the organ of touch, rasanam, the taste, ghranam, the smell or the nose, right? Presiding over these various sense instincts, these various sense perceptions, presiding over them, he enjoys those sense objects. That is, he is in the eyes, remaining in the eyes, remaining in the eyes, seeing the forms, he enjoys the forms, remaining in the ear, hearing the sounds, enjoys the sounds. He, remaining in the nose, receives the smell and enjoys the smell. Likewise, all the sense organs and senses, he presides. Presides means he is not actually involved, but without him, his presence, these are not possible. He presides, and as though he enjoys the various sense objects and the mind. And then, Utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudhananu pashyanti gnana chakshushaha. Utkramantam, when you leave, leaving can be both ways. Leave the body or even temporarily, one place to the other. Sthitam, staying, vapi, bhunjanam, enjoying, gunanvitam, united with the gunas or the objects. See, when you are leaving, what makes you leave a place? Without life, can you? When you are sitting, can the body sit without life? When you enjoy objects with qualities, can you enjoy without this life? But are you aware of this life? Has it ever come to you that this is the most important thing in your life? You took it for granted. You didn't know that it is the self, it is the God. Therefore, he calls you Vimuda, Viseshena Mudaha, doctorate in stupidity, deluded, na anupashyanti. They do not see me. They do not see me. Though I am there in all their movements. They say, he has seen God. Why don't you see? I am talking because there is God. You are listening because there is God. Why do you say so? He has seen God. Why don't you see? Therefore, he says, Vimudha nanu pashyanti, pashyanti gnana chakshushaha. This seeing is not physical. Because you can see everything that is objective through the senses. You, the subject, cannot be seen through the senses, mind, or intellect, but can be felt as your own existence. Therefore, it cannot be seen physically, it is intuitively felt. That's what he says, Pashyanti Jnana Chakshushaha. He is seen through the eye of wisdom, through the eye of wisdom. Intuition. Yatanto yoginas chainam pasyantyatmanyavasthitam yatanto pyakrutatmanaha nainam pasyanta chetasaha. Yatantaha, striving, yoginaha, the meditators, the one who wants to integrate, pashyanti atmani avasthitam, behold God in their own selves. Yatantaha api, those striving, akrutatmanaha, the unrefined people, yenam pashyanti achetasaha, because of their lack of discrimination, unintelligent people do not see. That is, if refined intellect, mind intellect you have, that means freed from vasanas, you can feel his presence. If your vasanas are not reduced through meditation, etc., you cannot feel it. That's the difference. Even when told, only if your mind intellect is refined of their vasanas, you can understand. If the mind, intellect are gross, not free from vasanas, you cannot experience this self. And that is his role in the individual, as said. Now he is telling us his role in the cosmos, how he alone is there everywhere. In you, he has said, while you came to the life, he brought you. While you leave, he takes you. Then while you enjoy everything, it is he that enjoys. And while you move, while you sit, while you move, in all that, it is he that makes everything possible in you. Now, what is his role outside you, in the world, in the cosmos? What is his role? Let us see. Yadadityagatam tejaha jagadbhasayate kilam yachandramasi yachagnav tattejo vidhi mamakam. Sun is only a mass of matter. Some vapors, helium, hydrogen, etc. It's matter only. But sun is able to do that because of the presence of God in it. Therefore, we worship sun also, not of the matter, but there is God in that. So, because of that God only, sun also illumines. And similarly, the moon by itself, without that life force, without that self, cannot bless us. Similarly, the fire, all these lights are blessing us because he is in them. He is in them. So in the eyes he sees. But for the eyes to see, you need the sun, the moon, the light. There also it is only he. Internally is he. Externally also he alone is there. Both inside and outside, he alone is there. That's not all. Gama vishyacha bhutani dharayamyaha mojasa pushnami chaushadhi sarvaha somo bhutva rasatmakaha. Gam, earth, avishya, permeating, dharayami aham. I support all beings. Pushnami chaushadhi sarvaha. I support all the herbs, plants, vegetables, all your crops. How? Somo bhutva rasatmakaha. As the moon who gives them the nourishment value. The value of nourishment in all the vegetables, herbs, paddy, etc. is got from the moon. That is why in the villages, they expose these seeds to the sunlight and the moonlight. And when they sow the seeds, they choose a particular star, particular night, particular moon, and on that day they sow the seeds because then they get full nourishment. So the sun and the moon, all of them have their roles cut out by the God. So you sustained by food. You are supported by the earth, even to stand. Then this earth that supports the paddy, etc. Then the nourishment in them is given by the moon. Rasatmakaha, lively, right? Rasa, essence, energy, happiness. And then now, individually, he has told earlier, outside also he has said that he is the very essence in the earth, the sun and the moon. Again, further connecting all this, is telling, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deha Masritaha Pranapana Samayuktaha Pachamyannam Chaturvidham. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhuta. I, having become the Vaishvanara, the fire in the individual. The fire in the individual. Vaishvanara is the fire. What is fire? Without fire, nothing, no activity can ever take place. That energy, that digestive fire, because of which your food is digested, that is called Vaishvanara. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam, of this being, Dehamashtritaha. Dehamashtritaha, abiding in this body, Pranapana Samayuktaha, associated with Prana and Apana. Prana and Apana Samayuktaha Pachamyannam Chaturvidham. I digest 4 types of food. What 4 types? In our house for marriage, we do 60 types. All 60 types, 80 types, 100 types come under 4 categories. That is eaten, that is sucked, that is licked, that is masticated. That is masticated. Bhakshyam, masticated. Bhojyam, eaten. Right? Then Choshyam, sucked. Lehyam, licked. These are the 4 types. Choshyam, sucked. Lehyam, licked. In that Choshyam, sucked, water also comes. Right? Water also comes. Lehyam, licked. Masticated, bhakshanams. And bhojyam, that is eaten. All these 4 types of food, I only digest. Who does it for you? It's I. Who else does it without the prana? And that prana is me. Right? So what does it amount to? The so-called you, there is nothing that you are doing. In your body, all functions I am doing. I have brought you to the womb. I have delivered you from the womb. I am through your entire lifespan supporting all your activity. And when this body has to be left, it is I that I take. And to help you, I am in the sun, I am in the moon, I am in the earth. Right? And then all your physiological activities, intake, outtake, the rejections, intake, prana, responses and rejections, apana, vyana, distribution, samana, digestion, udana, thinking. All this only I am doing as the very fire in the belly to digest the food. So what is your role? What is your role? The so-called I is a confusion of that God. Because of that, we suffer. So understanding that God alone is the real reality is the purpose of this 15th chapter. Here, it's already 2 minutes excess, so another 5 verses are there. So I don't complete it today. Thursday we complete, and I will read out the Samsara Vriksha, which comes in Kathopanishad, so beautifully written by Sri Shankara. I will read that out in Sanskrit because Gurudev says, even if you don't know Sanskrit, listen to that. So I will complete these 5 verses and then read that Shankara Bhashya of that Kathopanishad, that particular thing talking about this samsara ruksha. And by the grace of Guru Parampara, we complete the 15th chapter for this class. And as I said earlier, you were lucky. I am continuing and finishing in April 16, 17, 18 also. For that, the link will be different. You will get it, right? Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you all. Bas.
Hari Om.